Hello and welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos.
Greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan.
Yes, Austin, tonight it's going to be, as usual, a big package because the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, we'll start off with them. I mean, after that, a little bit of blip they had in the opening game, losing 1-0 to Senegal, they were able to bounce back, beating host nation Egypt by a lone goal. And of course, the Flying Eagles right now, they're flying. Yeah, they've started to fly. So second in the group. And of course, Senegal, who beat Mozambique earlier in the day, are still topping the group. We're going to be talking about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria today. Hopefully, the media officer will be able to join us from Cairo. Also, we'll take a look at MPFL right now. Yes, is mid, there's a break after the first stanza of the season, but the particular coach is out. Economy Warriors haven't won just one game in 9. They felt, okay, it's time for the whole technical crew to leave. We'll talk about that on the program. And also, we'll touch down on tennis. Novak Djokovic is preparing for the different events that will be taking place in the U.S. Remember, he's still not vaccinated, so he's hoping for positive news from the U.S. And also, we'll talk about what's currently going on. Europa League and also the Champions League. Games for Europa League tonight, we'll be talking about that, especially the ones that have ended. Angel Di Maria sending Juventus to round of 16. So Austin is a loaded package tonight.
It's a loaded package, Cecilia, and I'm pumped up to do this one with you and everyone that loves talking sports with us on the show. What a story for the Flying Eagles. I told you the other night, no pressure. No pressure, Cecilia, because these guys are still learning, and it's a process. I know that loss to Senegal would have hurt them so bad because they didn't want to lose that unbeaten run that they've been gathering. But sometimes you need to let go of those records so you can focus. Eyes on the prize, because the objective of this competition is to qualify for the World Cup. So they needed to, do everything that they could to get a win against Egypt. And when Solomon Agbalaka produced that powerful header, I said the Flying Eagles are back.
They are back. And of course, it's not just us that will be talking about the show tonight. There's also Bolu Omoni. He's right here in the studio. So, Bolu, good to have you. Good evening.
Yeah, good to be here again. Wonderful Thursday evening. And I love your hair. I wish I could take it off your head on my way home. And like you rightly said,
you can't.
Well, I wish I could. It's fully packed. And I think in the Europa League, minus the United and Barcelona game, there's a game everyone has to put the eye on. Is the game between Monaco and Bayer Leverkusen. Monaco won away 3-2 in the first leg. Now they've lost at home 3-2. The game is in extra time. And of course, the game that will take every attention has to be the Europa League between United and Barcelona. And I was the most excited person when the Flying Eagles won, because I said to myself, after that first game, all the guns started blazing, the biros and pens were out there. They've written Ladan. Any other loss, Boso and the signature will follow, but it was a necessary win. What helped them was Mozambique and Egypt played the draw in the first leg, in their first game, so that one helped them. They just need to beat, let's not make mouth too much, but they just need to walk past Mozambique, and from there we start talking about, okay, getting to semi-final, qualifying for the World Cup. I'm excited for that. Remember, Falcons also at least ended their perfect losing streak with a win, even though it was kind of too late.
It was actually a perfect
number, so it was a good way to end it for them. Good to be again on this lovely Thursday evening.
Thank you for joining us. All right, let's talk about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, we've started talking about them already. If we want to see, we can actually see that game if we can have it on the screen. Yes, we have the game. Austin, I mean, you always talk about no pressure. But when you were watching this game, what was going through your mind, especially the chances that were missed, the first few minutes of the game before that 71st minute when Nigeria finally got that goal?
It was tension, Cecilia, not pressure.
Okay. What's the difference?
There was tension, particularly with the Egyptians creating chances, but they were not converting it. And I was saying that it was coming one too many for the host, and they might just get one goal in and then close shop, So it was a bit nervy, but I was seeing the play. The Flying Eagles, they were just not calm. If they had calmed down, understand their position in their opening, and get a bit strategic. This is where we'll question some of the work of Ladan Boso and his team. And if you can see, when Agbalaka produced that header, he ran straight to the coach because he understood that they were going through a lot of pressure. If they don't win this game, then we would have been saying all sorts, particularly after Senegal went on to beat Mozambique. Egypt, as host, would have just gone on to produce a win in their final game, and then we'll start, calculating again. So there was some level of tension because I know this team deserves to, be at the World Cup. That's how much it meant to them, winning that game. So let's see if they can sustain the momentum, get better against Mozambique, because at that stage now, you're as good as your last game. So let's see what they can do, pick that ticket, and then hopefully they keep getting better. But no pressure still. Please, no pressure.
Okay, still no pressure. All right, the last game, you mentioned Mozambique earlier, Bolu. That's going to be the last game for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. Senegal, of course, will have to battle Egypt. Egypt, from all indication, if they don't beat Senegal, they will be out, host nation.
Well, for Nigeria, a draw should still do enough to take them through, because people are talking about Senegal want to just field second string team. Senegal want to finish top of that group, because a loss for Senegal and a win for Nigeria, maybe 2-0, could take them above Senegal. I'm sure they want to avoid that. So we just need, talking about winner, I'm talking about the Flying, just do your job and qualify. The no pressure thing, Austin is saying, it's not that they don't know what to do. The pressure is still there for them. I think it's more like now you are not on the edge like you were from the opening game. Now you are calmer, you've got the points. Now just be careful, don't do too much. Don't underrate your opposition. We've seen it over time in football where the minnows in court to take over the superior team. So just do your job. Now that they've won, it could bring back their confidence. Maybe the gameplay is still not 100%. Maybe performance and everything, but like I always say, the only way to play football is to win, and they did that against DG. So hopefully they do just that again against the Mozambique. Who knows? They may even end up finishing first in the group.
Yeah, it's possible because when you start, Austin, we mentioned that sometimes when you lose your opening game, it gives you a kind of you want to look inward and think, and then you want to see what do I have to do right in the next game, and somehow it works. And of course, it worked for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria.
Losing. That's just the magic, because if they had won that game against Senegal, maybe they would have been complacent, and Egypt being host and not winning their first match against Mozambique might just have that extra push and stun the Flying Eagles. But with that loss to Senegal, I know that Ambrosio so well, he would have told the boys, look, you promised to sustain the momentum from the Wafu B. Now the unbeaten run is gone. Can we, show some class? Can we actually let people know that there's quality in this team? Yes, they re-strategized to some point, but I've not just seen that. At this level, you just want to see some fluidity. You want to understand the game. You want to know that they are listening to, look at this, for instance. Easily, that would have been a converted, chance for Egypt. So they just need to show that maturity against Mozambique, let people see the quality that they have. Cecilia, let's take the conversation to Cairo, Egypt. The media officer of the Flying Eagles, Sharif Abdallah, joins us live on the program. Sharif, good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, my brother. Very good evening to you over there.
Awesome. Good to have you on the show. We're still celebrating the Flying Eagles 1-0 win over Egypt at the CAF Under-20 AFCON. How important was that win for the team?
Well, trust me, the celebration ended in the dressing room because it's actually a long journey, if you ask me. But one thing is certain. That win against the junior Pharaohs of Egypt yesterday was certainly a turning point for the team, having lost to the junior Teranga Lions of Senegal. So certainly you just have to put yourself back on track. And, the ultimate target of this team, the players, the technical crew have always made it clear that, come on, it's not all about winning the tournament. Winning the tournament is just an added advantage. Let me just put it this way, is a bonus for the team. But first and foremost, ultimately, we want to make it to Indonesia. That's the forthcoming FIFA FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia. That's the ultimate target set even by the Nigeria Football Federation. We just have to qualify. The qualification to Under-20 World Cup is non-negotiable. Yeah. And the win against host Egypt yesterday, it was a scrappy win, trust me. Football fans, I'm sure, over there in Nigeria were at the edge of their seat. But most importantly, it's all about the 3 points, which was at stake yesterday. And, it's always a very difficult game if you're playing against the host. You put under immense pressure. I mean, with the fans backing their home team. So certainly it was a difficult task. It might be ugly, but trust me, the most important thing for us is to win. But like I told you earlier, it's not yet a rule for the team. We know the task ahead. We know that we have to make it against Mozambique. We know that, I mean, for us to make it to Indonesia, we have to at least make it to the semi-final stage of the competition. So it's one step at a time. But I believe, I can assure you that Nigerians will see a better Flying Eagles,
I've been preaching.
come Saturday against Mozambique.
Yeah, Sharif, I'll soon I'll hand you over to my colleague in Lagos, Cecilia Mogbe. I've been preaching no pressure for this team, but in that game against Senegal, and to an extent, the win over Egypt, I could tell that they are not calm. I could tell that they're still losing the balls when they shouldn't lose it. Is anyone putting this team under pressure?
Well, like I told you, even nobody's putting the team under pressure. Trust me. I mean, the team is there is no pressure on the team, that either from the Nigeria Football Federation or from. But like I told you, the target is for us to make it to Indonesia, the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and is just a usual thing when you lose your first game, and you certainly take all necessary precautionary measures to make sure that you don't falter. So that was exactly what happened. That's one. And number two, even if we had won against Senegal, trust me, the team will be under pressure. Yesterday, playing against the host is no mean feat. So I believe with the win against Egypt yesterday, it will certainly be a turning point for this team, and we anticipate to see a better Flying Eagles in the game against Mozambique in Somalia. That's coming up on Saturday. That's in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, Sharif, I mean, before the play against Egypt, you mentioned that when you're playing against no matter what the pressure will be there. But what did the coach tell the players, for them to be able to at least improve from what they did against Senegal?
Well, he made mention of the fact that we can draw inspiration from the reigning world champions. I'm referring to Argentina. Of course, Argentina lost their first game against so-called football minnows, that's Saudi Arabia, in last year's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. And what happened? They bounced back, finished at the top of that group, managed to make it through the second round, quarterfinal, semi-final, and the eventual champions. So, the coach has retreated that on numerous occasions. So I believe that actually was what the players drew inspiration from. I mean, if the fact that you've lost your first game is not the end of the world. You can stage a comeback and make a statement for the team and for yourselves, for the players individually. So I believe the players actually drew some inspiration from what Laden Bosso has told them regarding Argentina. I think Argentina is just enough parameter for us to measure. They lost their first game, they staged a comeback, won their 2 group games, went straight to the second round, quarterfinal stage, semi-finals, and of course they're the eventual champions of last year's World Cup.
Surely that's a good way to actually motivate your players. Now, we've seen in the 2 games they've played, it seems the players are a bit jittery. They still don't have that confidence. The losses, the games that you expect, the ball you expect them to actually convert, they've missed that. Is there something the coach can do about that? And how was your training today after that game against host nation Egypt last night?
Well, you made mention of. I think I've been saying this. Even if we had won against Senegal, it's certainly going to be a little bit more difficult for us against host nation Egypt, because they are playing in front of their fans, which is more like the 12th man on the field of play. Even though the Egyptians didn't really show up, but trust me, those that were in the stadium yesterday were massively supporting their national team. So certainly that will put you under pressure if you're playing against any host team. So and this has to do with psychology. And the coach has really been working on that. He has been telling the players that, look, forget about the fact that these guys are playing on their home turf. You have all what it takes to make it. You have all what it takes to scale through. So having lost against Senegal was also another inspiration, trust me, because it could have been a different ball game entirely. The players could have been lackadaisical. I mean, thinking, yes, we have arrived. Meanwhile, on a personal note, I believe what happened during our first game was more like a blessing in disguise. It was like a wake-up call for players to get back on track, to believe that, yes, we're here for business. And the ultimate business right here in Egypt is to ensure the Flying Eagles qualify for Indonesia. That's the target. Anything ahead of that is a plus. I mean, like Coach Boso has been, saying, is a developmental process. I mean, our number is not just about winning the tournament. For us, if we can be able to, have at least 2 or 3 players to make it to the senior men's national team, that's the Super Eagles of Nigeria, is a big plus for us. If we can head to Indonesia to show the world that Nigeria is blessed with talent, that's a plus for us. So that's the target.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned that. Now, well, finally from me, before I hand over to Austin in London, for most of the players, I mean, do we have maybe any injury concerns or things we should be worried about before the game against Mozambique on Saturday?
Well, unfortunately, during the first game against Senegal, one of our dependent midfielder, Daniel Daga, couldn't finish the game. I think he was substituted in the first half or thereabout. I can't remember exactly, but he was substituted. And Daga will probably be ruled out for at least the 2 games in this group stage, meaning he won't be available for the game. He wasn't available for the game against Egypt yesterday, and he certainly will not be available for the game against Mozambique. But we're expecting him, barring any last-minute change, we're expecting Daga to be fit for the quarterfinal stage of this tournament. So apart from Daga, Daga is only, and he has really been responding to treatment because the medical team have really been up and doing regarding Daniel Daga. So Daga is expected to be back in the folds of the Flying Eagles after the group stage games.
We must say that's a good place to leave it. Thank you so much, Sharif Abdallah, for your time on the show. Send our love to the Flying Eagles and the technical crew, and best wishes as they fight out against Mozambique. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was always a pleasure to be with you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. We appreciate your time. So that's it. Flying Eagles media officer speaking to us all the way from Cairo in Egypt. Bolu, in 1 minute, tell me, please, what's your confidence level for the Flying Eagles as they get ready for Mozambique?
Well, I love the motivation from Ladamboso. He just used Argentina. It's easier. From Argentina, one of the things Argentina used to motivate themselves was Spain in 2010. Lose the opening match doesn't mean you're completely out of the tournament. And yeah, maybe the confidence is not 100%, but the win, there's no better way to boost your confidence than to win a game. So hopefully against Mozambique, they just do the needful and qualify. And from there, we'll know what to do. Super Eagles is suffering in probably, especially in defense and goalkeeping area. Maybe the next goalkeeper for Super Eagles could be in this squad. We never can tell.
That's right, because that's a good objective. It shouldn't be all the time win, win, win at this level. It will also be good if we can achieve some progression.
Yep.
But also, there's something about Nigeria when it comes to underage tournaments. If they don't win, none of these players will be remembered. That's the fact. Or maybe if they get to the finals, it's fine. But if they go out, maybe at the quarterfinal stage or semi-finals, you won't remember anyone. We've seen it over and over again. The Osimhens were actually lucky because those guys were good. The Flying Eagles, they didn't win anything. But then, at the end of the day, we're able to see those very, very spectacular players. Why? Because they had someone like Emmanuel Amunike who were able to nurture them so well that you didn't have a choice than to recognize those players. So if we don't have special talent for that, it might just be a difficult one. So
I know, I get what you mean, Cecilia, but see the Falconets, for instance, you know the team so well. They didn't win, but we have some players from the Falcons that are already playing in the Super Falcons. That's the sort of progression we're talking about. So we hope that the NFF and everyone involved with 8th grade football in Nigeria will get to know that development is very important at that level. That's it. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, what's going on with El Kanemi and the MPFL? We'll talk about it. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Yes, we have our eyes fixed on the elections coming up on Saturday, but right now we're having fun talking sports, and we'll do just that right now. Bolu, let's talk about El Kanemi Warriors and the MPFL. You know, when I heard about the sacking of the coach, I was like, you guys need to chill. They're just getting promoted into top flight football. You need to gather some momentum, and they're already destroying it. What do you think?
Well, we see these things everywhere, and it's becoming a norm. The difference is just that when you sack a coach abroad, especially a manager that has contract, definitely there's a severance package on the side. For example, when people are talking about sack Potter, and I said the guy signed 5-6 years contract. If you sack Potter now, you are paying him the entire salary. But here it's always a different, but we don't even know if they have contracts. But the question is, what is their plan? What are the plans they have for the team? I believe if you are sacking the coach, probably sack him before now, have a new manager that will start the game. But now you are sacking him as a when they are going for break. It means a new manager coming up is starting afresh in quotes. There's still time, the space to catch up with maybe Super 6 is not that far, but probably they decided that this is the best time. Now that we're going on a break, let's tell this man, it's time to go. A new manager coming aboard will start afresh with them. But like they will tell you in football, if the players are not ready to play for you, you can bring all the greatest coaches in the world, it still won't work. So maybe the new manager bounce could help them from the second half of the season.
I know, because, I mean, if you're sending away the coaching crew that has been with the team for some time, that loss to Plateau United didn't help matters. I also remember Bendel Insurance went to Maiduguri to beat El Kanemi Warriors. But if you take a look at teams such as Kwara United, who've also been struggling, you know, and that's part of what you get from an abridged season. But Cecilia, it is what it is. Coaches are hired to be fired.
That's what it is. I mean, the whole technical crew led by Abubakar Hassan, they were fired. I think maybe after losing to Plateau United and some other game they've lost, it was fine. But they were at home again.
United was the final straw.
Also are not doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing
they
very
just
badly.
Moved from 9 to 8 after this win.
Before they beat Economy Warriors, they won
just
also one game.
Yep.
They also won one game, which of course Economy also have won one game. And if you take a look at that group, at a time it was Nasarawa United that were at the bottom. Yep. So somehow Economy now dropped down to that bottom, and then you were at home. You were leading at 20th minute. David Nnaji scored that goal. They were thinking, okay, maybe they have this one, but somehow Kwara United, that as poor as they are, they have also won one game in the season. Scored 2 goals, 61st minute, 72nd minute, and then that was it. I think maybe they just couldn't handle that anymore. You can't play 9 games and you won 1, drawing 2, losing 6. And then look at the table. I mean, after 9 games, how many points? Just 5. They couldn't handle that, and they felt, okay, this is the right time to let this team go and then bring in a new crew. And then when they resume from the break, maybe they'll have, as you mentioned, new manager bounce. Because, I mean, you don't won in 9 outings. Winless in their last 7.
At least they have a board that have the cojones to tell the manager go. You know, normally in the MPFL, before you go, they first give you ultimatum, 3-4 games ultimatum, and after that, yeah, they gave Nasarawa United ultimatum. Then I think they lost one of those games. After that, they went back to their manner. So I guess, like they say, the best time to let go of a new team is when you're going on a break. This time around, they have like 2 weeks to plan themselves. Whatever happens after, even though I'm never a fan of all this mid-season break, the time they are going for this break, they should have added all those midweek games to fit in all this one. But whatever happens,
I think maybe because of the elections.
That's the only legit reason. If it's for the elections, I love this part of it. But like the election, it's probably the most important thing for us now. Like I tell you, we just do what you need to do. Cover violence, do your voting. For players now, you are on break. So the excuse will not be, I'm not in my home, I can't vote. No, wherever you are, go for it. But Academy Warriors, they may bounce back. Like you said earlier, the point is not too far. They can still make it Super 6. Is it difficult? It is very difficult. But if they pick up a Bendel Insurance kind of form, who knows? Second half could be very good for them.
They're not even winning at home. Because I remember, also, we discussed about the game when Bendel Insurance were already in Maiduguri. before the team that they were to play arrived. I mean, it was kind of funny. I mean, when you don't have such logistics, traveling and everything, and if your team is losing, you don't have to blame them.
At least win at home.
Yeah. Maybe they were thinking, even the home you're winning.
No, in 5 games, they won just one at home.
They played away from home, and they were coming. I think they played Shooting Stars or one of those games, one of those teams from the Southwest. So they are traveling on the road before they go get back.
They were
waiting.
Makes me remember one of those interviews that Jose Mourinho granted, and he said, unfortunately, coaches can't sack management, you know, because that's a management error right there, you know, and easily they just dump everything on the coaching crew, and that's what we've seen with El Kanemi Warriors. Let's just hope that they will, you know, get better when the second stanza of the league resumes, but it is what you sow, you will reap. It's as simple as that.
So simple. All right, we'll leave it there and quickly touch down on Europa League. Yes, we have teams already through.
Come with me.
The playoffs is ongoing. I mean, when you have Barcelona and Man United playing playoffs to get into, it's always very funny. But that's what it is. 2 big sides playing. Barcelona leading right now by lone goal. Lewandowski scoring from the penalty spot. But then other games that have happened earlier in the day, Juventus and, of course, Nantes. We're expecting Nantes to actually get something out of that. Angel Di Maria said no. I mean, he scored a hat-trick. And, of course, for Juventus, they are into the next round. Bolu, you were talking about, when you mentioned Europa League, sometimes you just look at some big teams, and when you see names, I mean, you hear Juventus, Europa League, Barcelona, Man United. I mean, when you hear names like Midtjylland, you understand. Sporting, you understand. Yeah, Sevilla, of course, they are customer regulars. Yeah, more than their house. Well, the game between Monaco and Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, you mentioned that at the beginning of the show. What's it looking like right now? Because, I mean, it was 5-5. Well, they went into extra time.
Some 12 years ago, 12 years ago, this was the Champions League final, the Barcelona-Man United game. 2 years before then, it was also a Champions League final. But unfortunately, we are seeing both teams in the Europa League now. It just shows 2 things. That both teams have done a bit in terms of quality, and other teams have also stepped up. Inter Milan struggled a bit, but they still went through ahead of them. So football is fun, football is interesting. But the game you have asked about, Bayer Leverkusen won that game 5-3 on penalty shootout. It means Monaco are out. But for the Barcelona-Man United game, it's just like the first leg. This second leg has also been end-to-end football. But Bruno pulled back Balde in the box, and the referee awarded a penalty. VR checked, and the referee still stuck to his decision. Now, Robert Lewandowski got his first goal in the Europa League for Barcelona. So let's see how interesting it will be. One thing is certain, this game is definitely not going to be a one-off. It's not going to be a dull moment. Anybody that's losing in this tournament, you are definitely losing. And I think I have to agree 100% with you, Cecilia. Sevilla, this is their tournament. Sevilla won the Europa League, qualified for Champions League. They finished third to go back to Europa League and won again. The same thing happened the following season, so they are used to this tournament. But Barcelona, Man United, Juventus played Champions League final a few years ago as well. They played against Real Madrid in, I think, was it 2017? Played against Barcelona in 2015. Seeing them in the Europa League, and unfortunately for Moses Simon and his colleagues, they drew with Juventus in Turin in the first leg, but second leg they felt we could make history at home. But Di Maria said, hold the beer, I have another job to do. And the red card obviously was the final. After that red card, you know there was no coming back. But Europa League is now gaining more attraction, more attention. Let's see what happens from this round, and we'll see what goes on in the round of 16. 18
minutes when they got that card, then Juve just went on fire. Austin, I mean, monitoring Europa League and the games are going on. Midtjylland, of course, they're out. You have Sporting scaling through, Juventus scaling through, and of course also Sevilla, as usual, scaling through. That's what it's looking like right now. And United at home against Barcelona, there you go down.
Before I talk about United and Barcelona, Bolo and Cecilia, teams in Europe are trying to tell Sevilla this Europa League is not your house, you know? That's what we saw today in that game against PSV. All thanks to the 3-0 win that they had in their first match. PSV started looking for the goals. It wasn't coming. It started coming in late. De Jong scored the first one in about the 75th minute, and in extra time, they got the second through Fabio Silva, and it ended 2-0 in favor of PSV. They had scored just one, you know, in first half. It might have, you know, dragged like the game that we saw between Bayer Leverkusen and Monaco. Stunning match right there. Ended 5-5 on aggregate, and then on penalties, Leverkusen won it 5-3. This game between Barcelona and Manchester United, I also think it will go all the way. But advantage Barcelona now after Robert Lewandowski scored from the spot. But hey, this is football where anything can happen. And in the first leg will give us an explosive 2-2 Come on, give us more goals in the second leg.
That's what we're expecting. Let's just get confirmation of that result. I'll go through all the results that have been concluded. Of course, Nantes and Juventus, as we mentioned earlier, that game ended 3-0 in favor of the team who came away from home to be able to beat the team in France. Monaco and Bayer Leverkusen, after a penalty, it ended 4-2. That must be a painful one for Monaco. FC Midtjylland and, of course, Sporting ended 4-0. And the game between PSV Eindhoven and Sevilla ended 2-0. Sevilla, of course, having won the first leg 3-0, that's what gave them the advantage. It ended 3-2 on aggregate. Sevilla, you have Sevilla, Sporting, Lisbon, Leverkusen, of course, Juventus. The games, the teams who came away from home, they're all through to the next round. Interesting one. Let's just go down, because the trend we've seen now, you have all these teams away from home winning and progressing, or have Barcelona at Old Trafford. The trend might just continue.
Man U fans will not want to hear you say that. And it's looking like it. Things like this sometimes just happen like fate, kind of. We see Juventus, we've seen Bayer Leverkusen, Sporting Lisbon. Well, that was expected despite the goal 1-1 in the first leg. Sevilla lost, but they still qualified. Now Barcelona are leading at Old Trafford. My United fans, you may probably go back to the mountain and start thinking, because even if you win this game, like Austin said for the first leg, we want to see goals. Any win in this game, you definitely sweat to get your win. And that's what football is about, not just we walk in the park, strolling through. You may be form in the league. One thing Europe does is your form in the league is entirely different from what happens in the Champions League or Europa League, and we are seeing just that. So, my United fans, Barcelona would love to continue that trend.
Okay, we'll have more updates for you on the show. The matches are still definitely on. It's still early. We're yet to get into the first half. The first half is still on. Second half hasn't started. So let's see what United can bring. They have a way of coming back and sealing a win. They've been doing that this season. Let's see if they can apply that to Barcelona. But when you have Lewandowski, you just have to be careful. You don't know what it's going to give to you any moment. All right, the Champions League, the bigger one. I mean, we'll step down and let's step up now. Talking about the UEFA Champions League. Manchester City, of course, the only thing Manchester City wants to win this season that they're really serious and careful about happens to be the UEFA Champions League. So much money has been pumped in. Players have been coming in. They have the best manager who, had a good run with Barcelona. But right now, Pep Guardiola, I understand. Yes, he would say he's not under pressure or anything, but we know that the UEFA Champions League is holy grail for him. Now, away in Germany at Leipzig, it was a draw. I believe that's not the result he would have wanted. But after that, he mentioned that, yes, he had to go hug these players and raise your head up. Don't be defeated. You played so well. Of course, they played so well. 74%, that was the ball possession for Manchester City. So you expect them to win this. But we've seen over and over again, against Nottingham Forest at the weekend, it also happened. But 72% ball possession, they also ended in a draw. What is happening to Man City?
Well, you can say a draw away from home in the first leg is not that bad. But in the Champions League, for what we've seen,
away goals anymore.
Exactly, there's no away goals. So it's more like second leg are starting afresh.
That's what it is.
I think they need to find ways to play the way they started. At the start of the season, no matter what Barcelona do, they always find Haaland. And if as opposition, you mark out Haaland, you free space for other players who will score. This time around, it's not. Look at that game against Forest over the weekend. There were chances that they could pass away. Someone said Jack Grealish preferred to win fouls than to shoot or assist. And we see it every time. Foden 2 against goalkeeper alone, shoot or pass to Haaland. He did not. I tell you guys that Foden probably started his final game for City this season against Forest. So we saw it yesterday again, inability to kill off games. Possession is lovely. I love Pep style, but that's not the only way to play. Just win your games. Find Haaland. He's the best scorer this season, highest scorer. Look for him and get your goals. Even though I thought there was a 100% penalty at the end of the game, I didn't know what defender. He literally punched the ball away from his face. The VAR didn't call. The referee did. It's similar to what happened in the West Ham game back to back. Referees need to follow the law. VAR is there to assist the referees. If it's not working, then let's just take it out completely.
VAR referees, those in charge of VAR are also referees, right? Okay, Austin, the game against Leipzig, Manchester City and Leipzig last night, you were surprised, right, by the results? You were not?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't, Cecilia. Okay. And Pep Guardiola echoed my thoughts when he said, look, were you guys expecting we'll come to Germany and beat Leipzig 4-0, 5-0? No, football is changing. And if you take a look at Leipzig, they are that sort of team that when they meet big teams like Manchester City, they want to do something different. Let's take a look at their last games in the league. Manchester City traveled to Arsenal, got a win. That was an away game. Traveled to Nottingham Forest, played 1-1. Leipzig had lost their game before the last. They went to Wolfsburg, knew they needed to get into that mood to play Manchester City in the Champions League, and they won away from home 3-0. So they had the momentum, and that sort of game can go anywhere because Pep's team, they were already tired. They had played about 3 games on the road and going to Germany again. So you see, football is mental, and Pep Guardiola said it, that my players are not machines, that the away games were actually telling on that. That was all Pep Guardiola could do, motivate his team. Yeah. The players were feeling bad that they were supposed to win. Bruno expected them to win, but hey, it's football. You didn't lose it, and you have a second leg to play.
I think you have to agree with them. Yeah. Remember the last time they played, there was it last season, they lost 2-1 in this same stadium. So this time around, maybe a draw is an upgrade. Let's see if they can do what they did in the second leg for last season. But last season ended 6-3 at the Etihad Stadium. Probably this time, Pep is 1-0, they're in the quarterfinal. So whatever happens, just win in the second leg, and your dream of winning Champions League will definitely still be alive.
Be alive. Just pass the ball to Haaland and you give it the goals and then you're home and dry. All right, quickly before we leave this show, just talk about Novak Djokovic, of course. I mean, he is expecting a very, very positive result because he wants to actually play at the Miami Open, and of course, he wants to play at Indian Wells, and that's why he has applied for a special permission to enter the US to compete in the ATP 1,000 Masters. Remember, he's still what, #1? He's unvaccinated, but then the U.S., according to the Joe Biden administration, is the fact that last month they mentioned that they will have COVID-19 emergency declarations on May 11th, and then, but you have Indian Wells just next month, which is March. Well, let's listen to Djokovic. I mean, the news he's waiting to get to be able to compete at the U.S. Open, also Indian Wells, and as well as Miami Open. Okay, we don't have time to listen to it. So, Austin, I think we have to draw the curtain here. Yeah.
I know. I was saying, hopefully we'll get some time to listen to Djokovic, but we can't do that. But we get to hear from him some other time. That's the show. As we get ready to vote on Saturday, remember, in our world of sports, the game is fair play. Vote, not fight. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan, and everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
I love that. Vote. Don't fight. Bolu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good to hear again. Austin picked the words from my mouth. Vote, no violence, no fighting, nothing. And hopefully by next week, everyone will be smiling at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's easy. Make your choice peacefully because you know you have the right now to actually choose who will govern you in the next 4 years. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a good night rest.